Welcome to the deep dive. Buckle up, everybody, because today we're going to be diving into humanity's future.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah. And we've got two really interesting sources to guide us on this journey.
Okay.
The first one is called Humanity's Distant Future, 3 Scenarios. And it offers some pretty grounded, possible futures. And then we have the Cosmic Chrysalis, which, well, it gets a little more out there.
Yeah, one's a bit more rooted in what we're seeing today.
Right.
And the other really makes us think outside the box.
Yeah, and it's not just about gazing into a crystal ball, right?
Right.
We want to kind of equip you with a broader perspective on what the future could hold.
Right.
So you can, think about the choices we make today and how they might ripple out into these very different tomorrows.
Yeah, for sure.
So, are you ready to explore some possible futures?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So let's start with Humanity's Distant Future 3 Scenarios. This source, it lays out, 3 potential paths for humanity. And each one has a pretty evocative name, I think.
All right.
We've got Interstellar Renaissance, Digital Convergence.
Interesting.
And Great Decline.
Okay.
It's kind of fascinating how they use these names to really paint a picture.
Yeah, it's not just about spaceships and robots. It's about
Exactly
how we solve problems.
Right. It really gets at the underlying societal shifts.
Absolutely.
For example, the Interstellar Renaissance. This scenario is about so much more than just, technological advances in space travel.
For sure.
It's about humanity coming together as a unified spacefaring civilization. It kind of implies that we've solved a lot of the problems that we're facing today.
Exactly. It kind of flips the script on how we view our planet,
Right.
Imagine Earth, no longer burdened by pollution or conflict.
Wow.
Just beautiful sanctuary, a vibrant hub within a vast network of interstellar civilizations.
Yeah, it's Earth becomes this treasured, almost sacred place, right?
Right.
In a way, it kind of reminds me of indigenous cultures' relationship with the Earth, but, on a cosmic scale.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's shift gears a bit and talk about digital convergence. What stood out to you about this scenario?
Well, for me, it's the whole idea of the blurring of lines.
Okay.
Between our physical and digital selves.
Interesting.
The source talks about brain-computer interfaces being so advanced, right?
Yeah.
That we can seamlessly, experience digital realities. We could control robots on distant planets.
Wow.
Or even explore simulated galaxies just with our minds.
So, you're sitting in your living room, but you're actually piloting a robot on Mars.
Exactly.
And it would feel like you're really there.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I mean, where does the digital self end and the physical self begin? What does it even mean to be human in that kind of scenario?
It's really a head scratcher. It makes you think our brains, they experience things.
Right.
And they don't necessarily make that distinction.
Right. Like we do consciously.
Yeah. So in a sense, maybe those lines are already being blurred.
Huh. Yeah. I guess they are in a way, right? With virtual reality and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Interstellar Renaissance and Digital Convergence. Both pretty optimistic, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely explore the potential for, positive advancements.
For sure. But let's be honest, not all possible futures are going to be sunshine and rainbows.
True.
So let's talk about the Great Decline. What happens in this scenario?
Well, things don't go so well. In the Great Decline scenario, humanity basically fails to address those major global challenges.
Yeah.
Like climate change, resource depletion, and things kind of spiral from there.
Okay, so escalating conflicts, environmental degradation, and eventually societal collapse.
Yeah, it's a pretty bleak picture.
Not exactly the future we're hoping for. But even in this, really dire scenario, the source does highlight something kind of interesting.
What's that?
It talks about how nature starts to reclaim abandoned cities. After humans are gone, nature kind of comes back in and restores balance.
It's a reminder that, the planet will go on.
Yeah.
Even if we don't.
So these scenarios, they're not predictions, right?
No.
They're more tools for thinking about the consequences.
Exactly. It shows us that we have a role to play.
Right. Our actions today, they actually influence which path we end up on.
Absolutely. It's all about making choices.
Okay, so we've explored 3 potential futures from humanity's distant future. But hold on tight, because now we're going to take things up a notch with the Cosmic Chrysalis. This source, it takes us way beyond these grounded scenarios
Yeah,
into a realm of radical transformation. It's a little mind-bending.
definitely. It really pushes us to think about what it even means to be human.
All right, so listeners, get ready, because we're about to explore a future where humanity transcends its limitations and merges with a vast network of AI, quantum computing, and nanotechnology.
It's a future where the very definition of human is up for grabs.
And it's a lot to wrap your head around, so, we're going to break it all down in the next part of our deep dive into the Cosmic Chrysalis.
This is where things get really interesting. All right, so welcome back to our deep dive into humanity's future.
We've explored some pretty interesting scenarios so far, from a future where Earth becomes like a galactic sanctuary to one where we can explore digital universes with our minds.
Right, yeah.
But now we're venturing into, I think, even more uncharted territory with the Cosmic Chrysalis.
This source, it proposes a future where humanity, it undergoes this radical transformation, merging with a vast interconnected network of AI, quantum computing, nanotechnology.
Honestly, it's a lot to wrap your head around. We're talking about a level of technological advancement that's almost unimaginable. But before we get lost in the sci-fi of it all, let's try to break it down. What does this actually mean for us? For humanity as we know it.
One of the most profound implications of this transformation, it's the blurring of individual identity.
Okay.
The source suggests that as our minds become more integrated with this vast network, our sense of a separate self could become less defined.
So instead of distinct individuals, we become more like nodes in a network.
Yeah, kind of.
All interconnected, sharing experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a pretty radical shift from how we view ourselves today. Our whole society, it's built around the concept of individual rights and freedoms.
You're absolutely right. And the source, it acknowledges that these traditional ethics like privacy, autonomy, they might need to be reevaluated in this kind of, interconnected reality.
Right. It's not about saying those values are irrelevant,
Right.
but more about, recognizing that they might take on new meanings.
Exactly.
In a world where the boundaries between self and other are less defined.
Yeah.
It's on the one hand, you could imagine this world, right, without prejudice, without conflict, where empathy and understanding are just amplified by this, shared connection. But on the other hand, what happens to personal freedom? The right to think for yourself.
Yeah.
When everyone's thoughts and feelings are all intertwined.
It's a complex issue. There's no easy answers. The source doesn't present this utopian vision.
Right.
It's more about, a set of possibilities, challenges that we need to grapple with
Right.
as we navigate the future.
Yeah.
It invites us to consider what new forms of, individuality, freedom, responsibility, might emerge.
So it's less about predicting a specific outcome and more about expanding our thinking about what's possible. It's we're being asked to upgrade our mental operating systems to even begin to comprehend this kind of future.
That's a great analogy. Speaking of upgrading, let's talk about the potential of this collective consciousness.
Okay.
The source, it suggests that, this kind of interconnected mind could unlock levels of creativity, problem solving,
Right.
that are just unimaginable to us now.
Right.
Imagine having access to, the collective knowledge processing power of billions of minds,
Wow.
all working in unison.
Okay, now that's just mind-blowing. We could potentially solve, all these problems that have plagued humanity for centuries: poverty, disease, climate change. The possibilities seem endless.
Exactly. And the source goes even further. It speculates that we could, discover new scientific principles, unlock the mysteries of the universe, and even make contact with other intelligent life. It paints this picture of humanity, not just solving earthly problems, but actively participating in the evolution of the cosmos itself.
Okay, now you're really pushing the boundaries of my imagination. But even if we set aside the more fantastical possibilities, the potential impact on human knowledge and innovation, it's staggering. But let's bring it back down to earth for a moment. This all sounds incredible, but how do we even begin to prepare for such a radical transformation?
That's a crucial question. And, the source, it doesn't offer a step-by-step guide.
Right.
But it does highlight the importance of understanding the ethical implications of emerging technologies, like AI, nanotech.
Right.
It's not just about, what we can do, but what we should do.
So it's about making like conscious choices about the kind of future we want to create. Like we need to be having these, open and honest conversations about the potential risks, benefits of these advancements, how we can ensure that, they're used to benefit all of humanity.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that, technology is not neutral.
Right.
It's shaped by the values and intentions of those who create it, use it.
Mm-hmm.
So, we need to be like actively involved in shaping the trajectory of technological development.
Yeah.
Ensuring it aligns with, our values and aspirations for, a more just and sustainable future.
This all makes me think about how we tend to view the future as something that just kind of happens to us. But what, the Cosmic Chrysalis suggests is that the future is something we actively create through our choices, actions in the present.
That's a powerful takeaway. We're not just, passengers on this spaceship Earth.
Yeah.
We're the crew. And the choices we make today, they're going to determine the course of our journey.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From the potential blurring of individual identity to the possibility of a collective consciousness shaping the future of the cosmos. But I have a feeling the Cosmic Chrysalis has one final mind-bending twist in store for us.
You're right. There's one more layer to this thought experiment, one that explores the potential for humanity to not just merge with technology, but to actually interact with the universe on a fundamental level.
Wait, are we talking about telekinesis, bending the laws of physics with our minds?
Well, not exactly. The source, it uses the term, cosmic connection to describe this hypothetical state.
Okay.
Where, a sufficiently advanced collective consciousness could potentially influence the evolution of the universe itself.
Okay, now that is truly next level. We're talking about influencing the birth of stars, manipulating the fabric of space-time. It's almost too much to comprehend.
It's definitely, pushing the boundaries of our understanding,
right.
But that's the power of thought experiments, right? They allow us to explore these concepts that are beyond our current grasp, stretch our imaginations, challenge our assumptions about what's possible.
So in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to try to wrap our heads around this cosmic connection and explore what it means for humanity's place in the grand scheme of things.
Get ready for a wild ride because we're about to venture into the realm of the truly unknown.
All right, so welcome back to the deep dive. We've journeyed through, possible futures where humanity becomes this spacefaring civilization, merges with technology, and we even face the potential consequences of inaction.
And now we're stepping into the most kind of mind-bending territory yet.
Okay.
The idea of a cosmic connection.
Yeah.
As presented in the Cosmic Chrysalis.
I have to admit, when I first encountered this concept, I was a bit skeptical.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
Right.
A collective consciousness influencing the evolution of the universe. But the more I thought about it, the more intrigued I became.
It's definitely a concept that challenges our kind of conventional understanding of humanity's role in the cosmos.
Right.
Instead of passive observers, we're presented with the possibility of becoming, active participants in the grand cosmic dance.
Okay, so let's try to unpack this a little bit. How does the Cosmic Chrysalis envision this cosmic connection actually working? Does it delve into the specifics?
Interestingly, the source, it doesn't get bogged down in the technical details.
Okay.
It's more about prompting us to consider the implications, the what ifs,
right,
rather than outlining, a specific mechanism.
So it's less about how we achieve this connection and more about exploring what it would mean for humanity if we did.
Exactly.
Okay.
What if, a sufficiently advanced consciousness could tap into those fundamental forces of the universe?
Right.
What if we could, as the source suggests, influence the birth of stars, manipulate the fabric of space-time, or even communicate with other cosmic entities?
It's funny. I was initially kind of thinking about this in terms of power. Wow, we could control the universe. But now I'm starting to think about it more in terms of responsibility.
That's a crucial point. If humanity were to reach this level of cosmic influence, the ethical implications would be, profound.
Yeah.
The Cosmic Chrysalis, it acknowledges this, highlighting the need for a whole new set of ethics.
Right.
Like a cosmic code of conduct to guide our actions on a universal scale.
It's like, imagine having the ability to, like, shape the course of galaxies, to influence the very fabric of existence. I mean, the potential for both, like good and harm, would be immense.
It's a sobering thought, isn't it? It really underscores that, interconnectedness of everything in the universe and the potential, ripple effects of our actions.
Yeah. This conversation has really, like, kind of shifted my perspective. I started this deep dive thinking about the future in terms of, like, technological advancements, societal changes, but the Cosmic Chrysalis, it takes it a step further, right? It challenges us to consider our place in the grand scheme of things, to think about our responsibilities, not just to, ourselves, each other, but to the universe itself.
That's the beauty of this source,
Yeah.
It pushes us beyond our comfort zones,
Right.
forces us to confront questions we might not have even, considered before. And while we may never know if a cosmic connection is truly possible, I think the very act of contemplating it expands our horizons, deepens our understanding of, who we are, what we're capable of becoming.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from, the more grounded scenarios of humanity's distant future to the mind-bending possibilities of the Cosmic Chrysalis.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah. I'm curious, what's your biggest takeaway from all of this?
For me, it's the realization that the future isn't something that just happens to us.
Right.
It's something we actively shape.
Right.
Through our choices, our actions, even our thoughts. Whether we end up, as a spacefaring civilization, collective consciousness, or something entirely different, the seeds of that future, they're being planted right now.
That's a really powerful message. It reminds us that we're not just, passive observers, but active participants in this, like, ongoing story of humanity.
Exactly.
And while we can't predict the future with certainty, we can choose to approach it with, curiosity, courage, and I think a sense of responsibility for the choices we make.
Absolutely.
So listeners, as we conclude this deep dive, I encourage you to continue exploring, questioning, imagining the possibilities that lie ahead. Who knows what wonders await us in the vast expanse